We'll start off with the Texas redistricting plan. For those of you who don't know, Texas wants to do a GOP redistricting to get more fucking seats and to farm the large state.
And with something that's not so fun, depending on your point of view. It's a showdown that could have a big impact on democracy in this country. In Texas, the Republicans want to withdraw the political map in a way that could help them win additional seats. So in response, Democratic lawmakers have just fled the state. Last night, they gathered in Illinois, where they called the move a power grab by President Trump. And now Republican leaders are threatening to expel and arrest them if they do not come back. Ed O'Keefe is in St. Charles, Illinois. Ed, good morning. Things getting very dicey in Texas today.
Texas and now here in Illinois as well, Gail. Good morning. At least 51 Texas House Democrats left their home state last night, came to this lovely Illinois town in order to block a Republican-written congressional map that was set to pass the State House later today. The Republican governor, Greg Abbott, is threatening to expel these legislators for not showing up for work if they don't today. The Republican attorney general is threatening to arrest them. They could face big fines, but so far, these Democrats are defiant.
We are here to fight for the millions of Texans who don't want Trump's Texas takeover.
Dozens of Texas House Democrats are now in the Chicago suburbs, leaving their state behind and disrupting plans to vote on a new Republican-drawn map to reshape congressional power in the Lone Star State.
We're not here to play political games. We're here to demand an end to this corrupt process.
President Trump has directed Texas Republicans redraw their map.
On Texas, how many more seats do you want the Republicans to draw?
5.
In hopes of avoiding the losses that usually happen to a president's party in midterm elections. Right now, Texas Republicans hold 25 of the state's 38 seats in the House of Representatives, but the redrawn map would give the GOP an advantage in at least 5 more seats. Down in West Dallas,
Mark Vesey, your congressman.
I know.
Yeah, how are you doing?
I know that face.
Yes.
Texas Democratic Congressman Mark Vesey is a familiar face at this community center in a neighborhood he's represented for a dozen years.
I'm really concerned that they may be left with representation that does not reflect the values and the political beliefs and desires of the people that live in these neighborhoods.
Vesey now wants Democrats in other states like California and Illinois to redraw their maps.
Absolutely, I have no issues with that.
What you're saying is it's time for Democrats to fight fire with fire.
Absolutely, you have to match Trump's energy. If you don't match Trump's energy, you get run over.
Yeah, Texas Dems just broke quorum 30 minutes ago, and House GOP has voted for arrest. So basically, if there's no quorum, they can't push in the state legislature this new redistricting map. Obviously, they described it already. That's why the Democrats escaped the state. They left the state so that they're absentee and that the state legislature can't have quorum. And now they're possibly going to get apprehended. Can they arrest though? Why arrest? Because it's like you can vote to force to have them come back. But I assume Trump will go along with it because this is his agenda. It's ironic because like what Trump is doing and the Texas Republicans are doing to begin with is like completely fraudulent. And the only counter that I've seen is from like, I hate to give him credit for this, but it's Gavin Newsom who said, okay, well, I have enough fucking votes to redistrict California to farm as many fucking seats as I possibly want. And he's right. Yeah, it's really, really illegal. I mean, is it though? What is really illegal now? Legality is determined by enforcement, okay? Legality is determined by political willing. Illegal and legal is a meaningless term at this point. Under the second Trump administration, what's legal is whatever the fuck Trump wants, and what's illegal is whatever the fuck Trump doesn't want. When you think about it, legality is fluid now, so woke. Yeah. I'm in favor of fighting fire with fire because there's not really anything you can do about it. Like, what are you supposed to do? This, of course, is a worse representation overall for districts that have a lot of black and brown Democrat voters, districts that have a lot of black and brown people in general. Because redistricting for the Republican side is almost always conducted on neighborhoods that have black people, like just separating areas where there is like a big population of black people into other white majority neighborhoods in an effort to make sure that you have more Republican seats, like easy Republican locks. And Texas already has a shit ton of redistricting, by the way. There's not a single, I mean, a lot of Democrats do it too, is the counter usually. Like, oh, well, Democrats do redistricting as well. But it's like, it's nothing in comparison to the amount of gerrymandering that the Republican Party has done all around the country. There are states in this nation where Democrats can win the majority vote. It's like a little, it's basically like a little electoral college in each individual state. Okay? There are states where Democrats win the majority by like a big margin, and then Republicans still maintain majority, like in Wisconsin. Democrats win the majority vote, but because of the way that the fucking district lines are drawn in the state of Wisconsin, they still fucking have majority in the House and the Senate, like state legislature. It's crazy. But what's interesting about this is that given that the population centers are urban, and because of the diverse environment in population centers, heavily leaning in the direction of Democrats, if Democrats wanted to, there are far more areas that they could chop up to fight against this, in like blue states, in blue neighborhoods, and just like straight up redistrict it as aggressively as possible. Except they probably won't do that. Gavin Newsom is a fake demon. He really is. He really is. Even in a bad year for CA Dems, you can create a 52D 0R map with no seat being less than Harris plus 10. Would probably eliminate 9 Republicans. If you're willing to create 1-2 GOP vote sinks, you can create a map with no seat less than Harris plus 14. It's true. If the Republicans want to carve out 5 additional seats for themselves, then Democrats can carve out fucking 10. Okay? Now, he threw the eye emoji on this, but again, you're right. He's a fake demon. He should do this. Fuck it. YOLO. Fight fire with fire, baby. Come on. Be the fucking gruesome governor that you are, okay? Political HQ says breaking. California's proposed congressional maps are almost ready and were discussed during a Zoom call last night with state and federal legislators. Look, man, I'm done. I'm done with the whole like, oh, if we do it, Republicans are going to do it too. It's like Republicans are doing it and they never stop doing it. So you might as well do it anyway. That's why I was a big advocate for packing the fucking courts when Joe Brandon was in charge and abolishing the 9-person Supreme Court, or at least like adding additional courts to the Supreme Court, adding additional justices to the Supreme Court. Fuck it. Oh, well, Republicans will then add more. Okay, have 1 million Supreme Court justices. I don't care. Just win and also enact an agenda. That's what the Republicans do. They don't care. They fuck up the board every time. They say, fuck the rules. I'm just going to get I am just going to do what I said I was going to do, and I guess do right by my constituents. Ironically enough, when their legislative agenda bears itself out, it's always negative, and the voters themselves experience the backlash. They don't like it when it's implemented. They love it when they're voting for it. They hate it when it's implemented in their fucking neighborhood. But like, for me, I just don't care if they're breaking the rules all the time anyway in the direction of change for their own legislative agenda, for their own policies. Then Democrats should do the same fucking shit. It's so dumb, because the inverse of that is the Democrats don't do anything, and then the Republicans literally just rewrite the rules every fucking day. It's trickier in California because they can't pass them with the state legislature like in Texas. It needs to be approved by an independent commission. Newsom's threat seems a bit empty. He said he could get it via referendum, but I don't know if that will work out. I think it would. I think it would actually give him great fucking popularity among as a national Democratic figure too. Gavin Newsom's major problem in California is public transit and the housing market. If Gavin Newsom solved the housing market issue, that That is literally like 90% of all the enmity directed towards him, all the animosity directed towards him, for good reason, by the way. Hasan silently wanting Newsom to be prez. No, I fucking despise him. I think he's a demon. He sucks. Okay? For what I just described to you. Gavin Newsom is decent when it comes to like rehabilitative, sticking his neck out for rehabilitative approaches to criminal justice, even though California still has a very long way to go. But Gavin Newsom is dog shit when it comes to offering healthcare, zero-cost healthcare to Californians. Gavin Newsom is dog shit when it comes to, most importantly, the housing market. He is completely beholden to real estate developers and homeowners associations and like landlords in general, and refuses to fucking increase the housing supply as is necessary and take initiative on this issue, which creates a shit ton of homeless people, which then translates back to people thinking that there's crime that's out of control in the state. Yeah, bro cleared a homeless encampment by hand with a smile on his face. I know.
Texas Republican Governor Greg Abbott says the new map is necessary to address constitutional concerns raised by the Justice Department. But critics across the state call it a power grab. Thousands showed up at field hearings across the state in recent days, some driving hours to be heard.
You drove how many hours?
4 hours.
To come and speak tonight?
Yes.
That's how much this bothers you?
Yes.
That's an average drive in Texas, though, low key. Like, like I'm proud of that man's accomplishments, but like that's just Texas, you know. That's like going to the nearest Walmart or the nearest hospital. Says the LA guy, bro. Texas is the one fucking place that is so large by landmass that like sometimes you got to do a 4-hour commute. You know, it is what it is.
Now, in a statement overnight, the Texas Republican Party calls the Democrats, quote, stunt to cut quorum, nothing more than a transparent attempt to weaponize chaos and rewrite reality. While Texas...
Yeah, but what you guys are doing, which is a transparent attempt to change, to go against the democratic process and to just basically openly, at the direction of Trump, an unpopular president, try to create more seats for Donald Trump, knowing full well that you're going to get fucking clobbered potentially. They might not even get clobbered in the midterms. And try to use what remains of your power to basically to redraw district lines so you can just farm out more seats for your party. That's not chaotic. That's not illegal. It's illegal when the Democrats are like using the only option in the state, using the only option they have to try and delay this process.
Republicans are working to ensure fair and lawful redistricting that reflects the will of Texans, the Republicans say. Democrats are choosing obstruction over representation, denying voters their voice to score political headlines. Nate, this has kicked up something down in Texas we've never quite seen before.
No doubt. Everything's bigger in Texas and even the drama. Ed, thank you.
All right, dozens of Texas Democrats leaving the state, making a last-ditch effort to block Republican plans to redraw the state's election map. New York Governor Kathy Hochul, flanked by Texas House Democrats, said this just moments ago.
This is not breaking the law. This is a legitimate process that has been used before. By breaking quorum and being here today, these legislators are getting into what John Lewis might call good trouble. Good trouble is the best kind of trouble. They've drawn racist lines to disenfranchise millions of Texans.
And Texas Governor Greg Abbott joins us now. Thank you so much. Can you tell us from your perspective, what is the issue? Why did they leave?
So they're leaving and they've left because they're very un-Texan. Texans don't run from a fight. And there's a fight going on in the legislature right now about redistricting as well as other things. But I'll make two quick points, Dana, about this. For one, to run to states like New York and Illinois to protest redistricting is kind of like running to Wisconsin to protest cheese. It's just kind of outrageous. Those are New York and Illinois are two hallmark states that have already done redistricting to eliminate Republicans. But the second thing is far more serious, and that is what these Democrats have done.
Yeah, Greg Abbott can't run from a fight. He has to wheel away.
Just a small fraction of them were needed to break a quorum, and that small fraction is holding hostage legislation in the state of Texas where we will be able to provide assistance and reform for all of the victims of that horrific flooding that we've had in the state of Texas. Our fellow Texans are being let down and not getting the flood relief they need because these Democrats have absconded from the responsibility, and I believe they have forfeited their seats in the state legislature because they're not doing the job they were elected.
Yeah. Be like our beautiful congresspersons. Run away when there's a natural disaster taking place. Why are you deliberately escaping the state so we can't arrest you and apprehend you and force you back to sit there and implement quorum so we can draw redistricting lines? Why don't you just flee the state like our good old boys, Ted Theodore Edward Raphael Cruz? Whenever there's a natural disaster happening, okay? That's what you're supposed to do. That's the Texan way.
To do.
Governor, let me show everybody here what you were talking about. I think we have this map of Illinois and the districts as they've been drawn. And as you point out, it's been over and over again. They make these small little squiggly lines to make sure that they can figure out the best way to get Democrats there. So that's an example of what you were talking about. I want to play for you this sound from State Representative Gene Wu. He's a Democrat from Texas. Here's what he said.
The tool they're using is a racist, gerrymandered map. A map that seeks to use racial lines to divide hard-working communities. And Governor Abbott is doing this in submission to Donald Trump. So that Donald Trump could steal these communities.
As an example, Dallas County has itself 3 out of its 6 congressional districts represented by GOP, despite Dallas County voting 60% and above for Democrat POTUS nominee and overwhelming voting Democrat for other offices. I mean, look at fucking, Dan Crenshaw's district if you want to understand how psychotic redistricting already is in the state of Texas.
Power and voice.
I have 2 main questions. How do you respond to his accusation that you're using a racist tool to do this? And the second question I have, if you could wrap it into this answer, is why now? Why do you need to do this in the middle of this session?
Sure. So what he just said is totally bogus. First, for redistricting purposes, it's not done for racial reasons. However, the racial outcome is this, and that is the district lines will solidify the Barbara Jordan African-American district in the Houston area, and it will add 4.
You know what's really funny about this, by the way? Yeah, like you look at this stuff and you're like, well, look at the current Texas districts, and it's like the little blue dots there are some of the areas with the highest density of population. So like, obviously when you look at a map like this, you're like, whoa, wow, Texas seems real fucking red. And it's like, yeah, there's like 11 people living here, okay? Like there's not a lot going on in many of these big swaths of land.
4 new Hispanic districts. And so there's actually going to be more racial minority districts in the state of Texas. Why now? 2 reasons. One is since
we want more seats.
we last did redistricting, there's been a change in law.
We also don't want black people to get across their wishes. That's it. Simply put, we are hateful people. We do not like black people being able to have their wishes and have their concerns be addressed by representatives. And let me tell you why. The state of Texas, have you ever heard of Juneteenth? Okay. We have a proud tradition of refusing to allow black people to be free. That's why Juneteenth happened. It happened in my state. Long, proud tradition of slavers coming here and refusing to recognize that slavery had been abolished. Okay? We're not too fond of letting people get any kind of representation whatsoever.
A court decision affecting Texas came out and said that coalition districts are no longer required, and it's perfectly legal to dismantle coalition districts. The second is gerrymandering can be done, or drawing lines can be done on the basis of political makeup.
Oh, great.
As in Republican versus Democrat, and there's nothing illegal about that. And then when you look at the outcome of the most recent president,
why is he trying to even defend this? I mean, honestly, you're not wrong for asking that question. Like, who is this for? Is the real question. Like, you're on Fox News, bro. They know why you're doing it, and they like it. You know what I mean? But I guess they are admitting it, kind of. Yeah, he's just openly saying they're fucking, you know, gerrymandering and trying to make sure for political purposes we want more power. Who doesn't like power? What power specifically? Okay? The kind of power I'm talking about.
Presidential election, all these districts that are being added are.
Well, Dana, it's because we're racist. That's why we don't want any sort of proportional representation to take place in this goddamn state, and we don't like demon rats. Okay, they're bad. They want to make sure that you know, they want homosexuality. They want abortion. They want abortions galore. They want free health care. That's communism. And worst of all, some of these demon rats, let me tell you, and I hate to say this as a Texan man who obviously puts America first, some of them want to do away with the loyalty pledges to the state of Israel. Have you heard? They want to do away. That's anti-Semitism.
Districts that were won by Trump. Here's the point of that. These voters in these districts won by Trump, they don't have the ability to vote for their candidate of choice now because they're in congressional districts. They're in a Democrat district as opposed to a district won by Trump. And so we have the authority legally under redistricting law to draw districts that align with the voter preferences of the voters of the state of Texas. And Donald Trump proved in these Hispanic-created districts that Hispanics, as well as other people in those districts, they want to vote Republican.
Let me just point this out. Like, we've seen this movie before, and we know how it ends. If you don't have the votes, eventually you come home to Texas, and we know it, like, basically it's going to be overtaken by events. But you also said in your statement that you put out today to all of them, in a letter to them, you said, in addition to abandoning their offices, these legislators may also have committed felonies. What is the felony? What are the penalties for this?
So very simply, it would be bribery if any lawmaker took money to perform or to refuse to perform an act in the legislature. And the reports are these legislators have been both, they sought money and they offered money to
Bro, he's not even convincing. That's crazy. I'm not even convinced he believes this. And he so doesn't believe it that he can't even say it outright. I've decided it's actually bribery and maybe even homicide, as a matter of fact. It's like killing the legislative session. And it's cancel culture and homicide. That's what these guys are doing, and they're doing a death. It's terrorism.
Skip the vote to leave the legislature to take a legislative act. That would be bribery, and so the facts will have to come out. But I think based upon
the facts will have to come out. Yeah, like you guys give a fuck about the facts, dude.
Comments made by legislators themselves, they face a possibility of facing bribery charges, which is a second-degree felony in the state of Texas. There's one way to cure that, and that is if they get back to the state of Texas and make quorum today at a hearing that we have at 3 o'clock, they can cure themselves of any quid pro quo that would subject them to potential bribery charges.
All right, Governor Abbott, well, we'll be watching Martha's show, the story, at 3 o'clock Eastern to see if by the end of that show they come back. Thank you so much, Governor. Good to have you.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I can't believe fucking Kim Paxton. It's just. The governor has mentioned something about bribery. Ultimately, he's up to local district attorneys. Most of these Democratic district attorneys for these Democrats to prosecute. I think that's an unlikely and small probability.
To delay, to run away. I think last time it was 38 days. They managed to stay out of the state. I believe it's a $500 a day penalty for doing this. So that's a lot of money that they're racking up in fines, not to mention the jets that they took. the private jets that they took. The governor has mentioned something about bribery. What do you make of who's funding this entire, AWOL leisure time for Democrats?
Well, there's a couple ways to find out. I don't know who's funding it, but there's a couple ways. Ultimately,
Ken Paxton talking about bribery is like asking Charles Manson about murder, okay? I guess he's like, I guess it takes one to know one, He is an expert. That is the expert opinion that you can get.
they're going to have to report. They're going to have a special session report that will be due very shortly after special session. So, we'll know in the next, say, month and a half who funded it. And then ultimately it's up to local district attorneys. Most of these are Democratic district attorneys, by the way, and for these Democrats to prosecute. So that's, I think, an unlikely, a small probability. If I had the authority to go do it, if the legislature would give me the authority, which we don't have in Texas, we could handle this. But right now, it's up to a bunch of Democratic DAs.
What do you think of the book, A People's History about the United States by Howard Zinn? It's great. This is what they're fighting.
The United States Constitution and the Constitution of the great state of Texas absolutely allows us to undergo this type of redistricting effort. So we're doing something that's completely legal, it's completely constitutional, and I'm doing everything I can in my power as an elected member of the state of Texas to make sure that the state of Texas does everything in its power to make sure that Republicans hold on to a majority in the United States Congress. It's as simple as that. That's completely legal. It's totally permissible. The United States Supreme Court has said so on multiple occasions. We should have, quite frankly, we should have done this during the regular session and had this in the rearview mirror by now.
So then, oh God, it's just so, everything is so shitty. I don't know what else to say other than everything sucks.
What happens in Texas could have a huge sweeping impact on the balance of power here in Washington. The GOP proposed maps could eliminate 5 Democratic seats in Texas alone, and in doing so, provide Republicans with a wider margin to pass President Donald Trump's agenda following next year's midterm election.
The most hardcore version of anti-DEI, literally stealing congressional seats. Yeah, but remember, that's not considered DEI because it's at the behest of white supremacy. So that's not like it doesn't track with the average person. Even like normies don't understand it as DEI. I don't think they just think like DEI equals black and brown people. Who wouldn't want to vote for these spineless freaks when Dems say shit like this? Okay, we're going to get to Israel in a little bit. Don't worry.
Joining us now to discuss this and more, the House Democratic leader, Hakeem Jeffries of New York. Leader Jeffries, thanks so much.
All right, here. Okay. Listen. All I'll say is this. I guess the silver lining here in a weird, twisted way is that means that like elections will happen. Because like it could be worse. Trump could be saying, who cares about redistricting? No elections going forward anyway, So obviously, I guess the weird silver lining is that they are concerned about the election, which means that they're looking to have elections still in the country. So there's that kind of. I don't know. We haven't hit like Bukele status yet.
Much for joining us. I know you recently traveled to Austin, Texas, to meet with the Democratic lawmakers there about this redistricting proposal. We've seen Texas Democrats try to use these quorum breaks before, only for them to fail, like back in 2003 and then in 2021. How will this time be any different?
Well, in the 2021 quorum break, actually, I would argue that Texas Democrats were successful in forcing Republicans to walk away from some of the more extreme parts of the voter suppression law that were being contemplated at the time. They still moved forward with their efforts to try to suppress the possibility of a free and fair election in Texas. This is what they do. But the Texas Democrats were successful in reducing the extreme nature of what was being proposed. But this moment does require an extraordinary response, because this is an extraordinary act that Republicans have been ordered to undertake to try to gerrymander the Texas congressional map as part of an effort to rig the midterm elections. Wolf, that's what this is all about, because Donald Trump, House Republicans, and the Texas Republican Party, they're all running scared because they have failed the American people.
The Texas governor, as you know, Leader Jeffries, we're talking about Greg Abbott. He's threatened to remove Texas House Democrats who actually left the state from their positions because it, quote, amounts to an abandonment, he says, or forfeiture of elected state office. Governor Abbott also says Texas Democrats may have violated what he calls bribery laws. How do you respond to all of this?
The Republican governor of Texas is out of his mind. There is no basis to charge these House Texas Democrats who have refused righteously to, at the moment, vote on an extraordinary map that would hurt their constituents that they are privileged and sworn to represent right now. Governor Abbott is making idle threats. He is all hat, no cattle.
As you know, Leader Jeffries, these Texas Democrats who've traveled, they've traveled to several Democratic-controlled states, including your state of New York. That's where Governor Kathy Hochul only moments ago said she's exploring, quote, and I'm quoting her now, every option to redraw our state congressional lines as soon as possible. And listen to what she exactly said. Listen to this.
I'm tired of fighting this fight with my hand tied behind my back. With all due respect to the good government groups, politics is a political process. And to think that we're going to do this with a purity test, but I cannot ignore that the playing field has changed dramatically. And shame on us if we ignore that fact and cling tight to the vestiges of the past. That era is over. Donald Trump eliminated that forever.
And as you know, Leader Jeffries, more Republican states are now looking at potentially engaging in this redistricting as well. Do you worry this could be a never-ending cycle of redistricting across the entire country?
First of all, Wolf, we appreciate the strong leadership being shown by Governor Kathy Hochul, Governor Gavin Newsom, Governor J.B. Pritzker, and governors all across the country. Because this is an unprecedented moment that America and the world find ourselves in at this particular period of time. Donald Trump and the Republican Party have launched an all-out, unprecedented assault on the economy, on health care, on veterans, on farmers, on everyday Americans, on the rule of law, on law-abiding immigrant families, and of course on democracy itself. It's an all-hands-on-deck moment for us. That means House Democrats, Senate Democrats, Democratic governors, Democratic members of the state legislature, Democratic attorney generals, but most importantly, the American people. All of us need to show up and stand up and speak up for an America, actually, that is enlightened and inclusive and lifts people up, as opposed to the America that we're in right now.
I'm lifted up. Whenever I see the Sex Panther Hakeem Jeffries on camera, I'm fucking lifted. You know what I mean? I'm standing up right now. God, I'm bricked. I'm bricked up. He's so fucking hot, dude.
Where Donald Trump and Republicans are determined to tear people down.
When you were in Austin, Texas, Leader Jeffries, last week, you argued that Texas Republicans, in your words, at the urging of President Donald Trump, were trying to rig elections by allowing politicians to choose their own voters through this redistricting proposal. What do you say to the argument that Democrats would be guilty of the same charge if they gerrymandered in so-called blue states, Democratic-led states?
Oh my fucking Lord. They're already presenting this as like Democrats have done so. Democrats said they would do it in retaliation. We don't even know if they have the capacity to do so. And like the CNN, middle of the road, center right media is already fucking setting this up as a counter. What do you say to this, man? It's just like it feels like all of mainstream media, the entirety of the Republican Party, and even like a decent chunk of the Democratic Party is seemingly against the overall population of America, like this majority of working class folks in this country. Every step of the way.
What Democrats would be doing in response is to make sure that there is one fair national map, so that the people of this country will have the opportunity to make a decision in November of next year in deciding who should actually serve in the majority in the United States House of Representatives. We think that Republicans are scared to death that they are on the brink of losing the House of Representatives. This one big ugly bill that they passed into law rips away health care from the American people, steals food from the mouths of children, hurts everyday Americans in order to reward their billionaire donors with massive tax breaks, and they've broken their fundamental promise to lower the high cost of living. Costs aren't going down in America, costs are going up. Job creation is going down and unemployment is going up as Donald Trump and Republicans are crashing the economy in real time. We're not afraid as Democrats to make our case to the American people that we will lower the high cost of living. We will fix our broken healthcare system. We will clean up corruption so we can deliver a government that actually works for the American people and is not a government of the billionaires, by the billionaires, and for the billionaires. We're prepared to take that case directly to the American people. Republicans are trying to rig the congressional maps because they don't want to have this fight on the merits.
You're a hypocrite on policy. Illinois, New York, New Mexico, all gerrymandered by Dems in the last 5 years. You're against things until you disagree with the people it's used against, but we all do that. Wait, what? No, I you can't even say I'm hypocritical for that. Like, I want across the board proportional representation, okay? But if that's not going to happen, yeah, fight fire with fire. Fuck it. I don't give a shit. The worst aspect of this is that, like, ultimately you get more Democrats, right? Except the more Democrats you get still turn around and fucking vote for all the awful shit that is not even like marginally improving people's living standards. Like, I don't have I don't care about institutions as much as Democrats do. I don't. I care about good policy. Okay? I care about good policy. I don't give a shit how you reach it. Okay? I've said this many times over. I care about the actual impact. And that's precisely the reason why when Democrats are not in power, I urge them to use the machinations of the existing institutions to try and put hurdles in the way of the Republicans. And when they are in charge, they should do away with such institutional hurdles in the way that the Republicans do to get their fucking agenda across.